Good morning, guys. Part 1A. Clarence brought up a good point about land purchasing, and I think it's important to drive this home a little bit more. And in his case, what it was they were looking at a piece of property really seriously, and then had the owner, I guess, go after the person who posted it or whatever. Anyway, let's get into the whole Facebook thing, the agent thing, and a little bit more in depth on the whole land ownership thing. Let's get into that a little tighter. In Facebook, I'll get that one out of the way first because it's fairly simple, but you got to watch out. There's a lot of hijacking that goes on of posts, okay? Somebody's posted on Marketplace and they go in. Now, often you'll hear the words, "Are you the sure buyer?" And what they mean by that is that they are not going to expose it to another person who's merely trying to do an end run on the commission, okay? And so they won't expose anything. Now, from your standpoint, do you care? No. If it's up on Facebook, you want to continue and you just keep going. But you have to watch out for these hijackers, okay? And so when it comes down to the actual purchasing of the land, you're really pumped up on it and you really want to go, where you could run into the trouble is all of a sudden your agent says, "I can't find the buyer." And that's because the other agent isn't going to expose, because they were never supposed to have that post in the first place. And yes, they will give up the commission. I've run into it a number of times online, and all I can do is report it to Facebook, and that's all you can do. Okay, so again, be very, very careful with Facebook. There's no real such thing as an agent here. There's no MLM, multiple listing service or anything like that here. So, when somebody puts letters behind their name, was it a weekend course? They're sure not an association, that's for sure. And lastly, on Facebook, the thing to watch out for is first us getting hyped up on a piece of property and just getting so excited about it. And then you find out, okay, it's time. Let's see the tax deck, let's see the survey drawing, we want to get it resurveyed, all that type of thing. And they don't have the copies, okay? Now, then just give them a little bit of time, saying, okay, go talk to the owner and get all the information. How they get it, you don't really care. Is it a hijacker doing an end run? You don't care. Any of that stuff. But again, like I said, we've gotten tight on a piece of property and then they couldn't get the tax deck and survey information. So, everything's going to take time, guys. It's not like Canada where you go in, you have a purchase agreement, you put down your money, and never ever give earnest money in the Philippines. But you put your deposit down, and if everything goes right, your deposit comes off the main purchase, yada, yada, yada. But not here. Not here. Never ever do the earnest money. Okay, now let's get into the land itself and the whole thing of how many people are written down as owners of that piece of property. Because it happens all the time. One of the family members comes in from the side and slips the old hand out and says, if you give me a little, I'll sign. But I'm not going to sign otherwise. What are you going to do if, like that piece of property that we saw last year and resaw it again this year, 8 meters wide, 500 meters deep. Maybe you love that piece of property because out the back it's got a nice slope and you want to build your house up high, and you're quite willing to give up land to build a road all the way in. How do you split that piece of property if only 3 want to sell and the 4th one doesn't? First, it's got to be resurveyed. They're going to make you pay for the survey. How are you going to allocate the 3 different divisions or 4 different divisions of property when it's that narrow? Even if it's even if it was our property, we're 13.5 meters wide. You see, there's not much room left when we slice that road in there, right? So it's doable, but some of these lots start to look a little bit silly. If they would just allocate right from when the grandfather did all of this stuff, again, they just don't spend the money to allocate a road, and they could have, in the case of the 2 properties beside us, could have easily had 1 road going in and 4 properties divided and 2 oceanfront on that easily. But you got to watch out for all of that stuff. You got to watch out for, making sure that your lawyer does the due diligence. Okay, got to make sure that if it's the wife selling the property, was it done in such a manner that the husband did all the transfer and everything and allocated inheritance for the child, because the children are a part of the inheritance laws in the Philippines. Okay, it's not like Western countries. The children get part of that property because the children are tied to the husband, not the wife. Okay, there still is a lot of stuff here with male children going with the father, right? So obviously less and less, but it happens and you've got to be wary of it. So be careful about how many people could be on title. I keep using the word title. You know what I mean. Tax declaration, legal owner, that type of thing. In our case, we caught it only because the survey drawing and the tax declaration did not match. Okay? You gotta have all the information. Make sure the agent comes with the tax declaration and the survey drawing. Very important. If you go down to check the survey, say that you want a blown up view of the area so that you can make sure that there's a road allocation, okay? Because if it's not allocated, you might not truly have access to your property. It's not like our property, where yes, it's been allocated and the city is going to take it for the road, but they punched it all the way through and everybody had to voluntarily give it up. If it was like that 8-meter wide one, 500 meters long, what are you going to do, right? Not as easy. Okay, guys, this is part 1A, the addendum. Later, Gators.